In this video, I'm going to walk you through some tips and tricks for how to go from data that is stored in a spreadsheet to a table that would be acceptable and formatted like a scientific journal article for your Bio 103 lab reports. There's lots of great information about this on the lab website. If you go to the results reporting page, you can see there's a whole section on figures and tables. And what we're going to focus on in this video is how to create a good table when you have your data stored in an unformatted spreadsheet that may have formulas in it. So this is a typical spreadsheet that people made for the first lab. We can see some of the values are numbers that were typed in, and some of the values are formulas. One trick that we can do to make sure that the data will be copied well to any other document, any doc or spreadsheet, is copy the cells. You can even paste them into a new sheet and paste special values only. So now each of these things that here was a formula that could change if we move it to some other location is a number. So that's one tip that I think will help everyone. One thing that's missing from this is which generation and what type of environment was this data collected for. So let's insert a row and add a label for the type of sand. So let's say that this was black sand. We can center that label and make it bold so it's clear that that's a label above the table. And another thing that we can do very easily in either Google Sheets or Excel is we can highlight our data and we can use alternating colors. In Excel, this is called Format as a Table to make it easy to read. So I'm going to go to Format, Alternating Colors, and I can do any of the colors, anything that makes it readable. So you can try all the different colors out, see what you like. And if you pick a color that has a very dark header, you want to make sure that you change the text. So I'm going to highlight the text and make it bold and a light color. I like to use light gray. Now we're ready to do some formatting. We can make it so that each of these labels is centered. Each of the counts are centered. And it looks pretty good. It's very readable and a lot easier to follow along between captured or surviving and see what each of the counts are. Now I'm ready to highlight all of the data, copy it and paste it into a blank document. I want to make sure that each of my tables in the lab report starts off with a table heading. So this would be counts of each bean type in the black sand environment. And pasting on linked is usually the safest way to paste this data. So we have the black sand environment, we have everything looking good. I see that there's some lines that show up here that I didn't notice in the spreadsheet. So I can remove those by highlighting this row of the table and looking at table properties. And specifically looking at this cell properties and removing the border color. So the table border right now shows up. If we give it 0 weight, now it's easier to read. So we have one piece of information that was missing, black sand, that we added as a horizontal descriptor. But we also have, and we can look at the lab manual to see a nice example of a well-formatted table. We also have to write the generation number. So one way to do this is to put the generation sideways. You can do this in a spreadsheet, but when you copy over tilted text in a spreadsheet, it doesn't work in the Word document. So we can do it directly here. We can insert a column to the left. We can merge each of these cells. And then we can insert can change the background color too of this cell to be none. Then we can insert a drawing. A drawing will let us write text like generation 1, and then use this tool right here to rotate the text. Once I've written the generation, now it's really easy to see the data. You can see that the spacing got a little bit changed, so we could make this generation a little bit smaller, and we should be able to make it a size that shows up so that each of the rows are the same size. So that is one way to create a table. We're using a combination of tools like insert drawing and copying and pasting from our spreadsheet to make something that looks really clear, easy to read, and has a label. An important part of Bio 103 is that your results paragraph should refer specifically to the figures and tables, and you can't do that easily if they're not numbered. If you have any questions, let me know, but hopefully this helps you create better tables and better figures for our next lab report.